As a photography tutor, I get asked a lot of questions, usually along the lines of what camera should I buy? What settings should I be using? How should I compose this shot? Am I getting this right? The problem with questions like these is they're just all too generic. And if you ask generic questions, then you're going to get generic answers. That's why in this video I want to share with you 4 questions that I think all photographers should ask themselves in order to improve their own photography skills. I'm going to give you my answers to help you to formulate your own. The first question is, what sort of photography do you like to do? It may seem an obvious question, but what we're doing by asking this is really honing in on what it is that interests us, what it is that makes us pick up a camera in the first place. You might be interested in a specific genre of photography. There might be a technique that really interests you. It could be a location that you just can't stop going back to. What we're trying to do by answering this question is bring together all of these bits and fit them together in order to make your photography more unique to you. It might also help us to answer some of those generic questions. If we have a clear direction that we want to take our photography in, we can make better decisions about the camera that we need in order to achieve our goals. We might be able to understand camera settings more for that specific type of photography and how best to compose our photographs. And if we can combine all of this stuff together, then we'll start doing things right. So Tom, what sort of photography are you interested in? I suppose I've always been interested in the way that people interact with the world, and I like to approach that from quite a standoffish perspective and try and simplify the scenes down a little bit, concentrating on shape and line to make interesting compositions of quite banal subjects in order to slow the world down and try and make more sense of it, I suppose. The second question is, who do you want to impress with your photographs? You might want to win the next competition or gain more likes on social media, but I'm guessing the majority of you watching this video are going to say, I want to impress myself. I want to look at my photographs and think I can be proud of these. And that's great because you're already on that journey of making photographs that mean something to you rather than trying to impress everybody else. But I would still err on the side of caution. If you and you alone are the only audience for your photographs, then you're placing them in front of the worst critic you can ever find. The problem is with us photographers is that we're always nitpicking, we're always looking for mistakes, we're always trying to improve our photography. We can always do better. And this can lead us to making really good photographs, but dismiss them because they're not quite meeting our very, very high standards. Personally, I feel it's only when we place our photographs in front of a bigger audience we start to generate more honest opinions about our work. But if you are really happy in your own little bubble, just making photographs for you, and shy about pushing your work out there, then another healthy thing to do is to come up with an avatar. I don't know, you might even have an imaginary friend already. Somebody who has the same likes and dislikes as you, but is a little less personal. The more you approach your photography from an objective perspective, the more value you'll see in it, and ultimately the more joy you'll get from it as well. So Tom, who would you like to impress with your photographs? I suppose my answer to that question is whoever likes them. I've got to the point in photography now where I know what I like to photograph. So if people don't like that photography and don't engage with it, then that's absolutely fine by me. But if the people that do admire it and do engage with it can get something from it and interpret it in their own way, then that's great. The third question is, who do you look up to? I often think that one of the best ways to learn about photography is to look at the work of others. Although we shouldn't just limit it to the photography world, because we all gain our inspiration from a variety of different sources. Tomato, brown, barbecue. Oh, sorry, not those kind of sources. If you can look far and wide for various different influences and inspiration for your photography, then not only are you going to hone in on that direction that we were talking about earlier, but you're also going to feel more comfortable in your skin, knowing that other people have done these things and succeeded in doing them. So Tom, who or what inspires you? I suppose I've got three people in mind really, whose work really inspires me. The first is Andreas Gursky, who's been really successful in producing these large format prints of very banal subjects in reality, but they all focus on how humanity interacts with the world, which is right up my street. The second is a Canadian painter called Christopher Pratt, who follows on from that similar theme to Andreas Gursky with the banal and quite minimal scenes. But he paints them in quite a photorealistic way, and ever since I've come across his work, I try and weave a lot of his influences into my own photographs. And the third one, I suppose, is a bit more contemporary. It's a YouTuber called Jason Comerfeld, aka Grainy Days on YouTube. Not only does he produce these really compelling YouTube videos, which is something that with this venture I'm aspiring to do with every single video that I produce, he also produces film photographs in a very similar sort of style, where he uses light to elevate really quite banal subjects, making them really quite visually compelling. One of his influences is Edward Hopper, and I suppose I could add him as a potential fourth influence. Is that enough? Our fourth question is, what's holding you back? Once we've determined a goal for our photography, we need to look at what's stopping us from achieving it and trying to fill those gaps. Let's look at a little scenario. Imagine your answer to the first question was, I want to be a fish photographer. Apart from your imaginary friend, the people that you want to impress with your photographs are other people that are really interested in fish. You might have looked at all of these magazines with glossy photographs of shoals dancing around in the sea. You might have been on a deep sea diving course and been really inspired by your instructor. And you've come to the realization that fish is the direction for me. So, what's holding you back? You might not have access to an underwater camera. You might not be able to get to the places that you'd really like to go to photograph these fish. You might not have the contact of the magazine that you are reading to get your name out there as the next best thing in fish-related photography. But by realising the things that are missing, you can start to fill in the gaps. You could look into how much it costs to buy an underwater camera, or maybe even get some waterproof casing for the equipment that you've already got. You could contact that deep sea diving instructor that really inspired you and ask them if you could return with your camera equipment next time you were over. Or you could log on to the interweb and look up the contact details for the magazine and get in touch. At the end of the day, there's no harm in it. So Tom, what's holding you back? I suppose the main thing that holds me back is time. I know time is quite a precious commodity these days, and because I sort of balance a full-time job with filming YouTube videos and teaching photography on my workshops, then I rarely get the chance to go out and take photographs just for me. But I suppose the best way to get around that is to maybe manage my time a little better and squeeze in a little bit of diary time to go out and get those weird and wonderful photographs that only I can produce. By asking ourselves these 4 questions, we can identify exactly which direction we want to take our photography in. We know who we want to impress along the way. We can find influence and inspiration from the people that matter to us. And by identifying the things that are holding us back, we can make a rational plan of how we're going to get to exactly where we want to be. The process might even throw up more questions, but you can be safe in the knowledge that instead of asking the same boring generic questions as everybody else, the ones that you're now going to be asking are going to be much more specific to you and help you to progress your photography much faster. If you do have more questions, then please share them with me in the comments. I can feel a Q&A video coming on. And if one of those generic questions is still niggling away at you, watch this video next. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.